there's no reason for the guise of freedom of speech and robust discussion to be used.
Columbia likes to push this facade that it's about diversity, about accepting all people, about allowing people to protest, and you're a black and brown student and you get on this campus and Columbia is tolerating this speech.
The free speech is is inciting violence against those vulnerable bodies. It doesn't matter, and it's our responsibility to shut it down.
And we saw this large protest, which is fine, but there has to be rules.
And then finally, once we went inside, and so we ended up deciding on standing at the front of the room.
But once we started the event, students ran up to the stage, had their signs, which is fine, but then they started yelling, continuing to talk over him for about 15 minutes.
In order to shout someone down, they have to be saying something, and he didn't have a speech prepared. It was just doing a Q&A. And then when it came time for the Q&A, we asked our questions and got our answers. So
I thought the university would allow these people to have their time, do what they want, and then leave the room, be escorted out.
And then afterwards, we all got emails saying we've been investigated specifically for shouting down a speaker and also for standing in front of a room when we weren't invited.
It's not free speech, it's fascist thuggery! It's not free speech, it's fascist thuggery! It's not free speech, it's fascist thuggery!
How did I hear about the letter? Well, there was some faculty who were exchanging messages already in advance when the announcement was made that some of these people were going to be invited to speak. And needless to say, there was awareness of what had happened at Berkeley and at Middlebury in the spring.
Do you approve of white people being hateful? Do you approve of Donald Trump? Do you approve of Charlottesville? Do you approve of Dylan Roof? What do you champion?
The point you're making about white supremacy. I do not believe white people are superior to black people.
So the Mike Cernovich protest started out in a really similar fashion to the Tommy Robinson one, where we met with community members in Harlem and then marched to campus. And then once we were trying to go to Lerner, we kind of went up the pathway to Butler.
With the event, the university blocked off the ramp at the bottom.
Security, so NYPD and public safety had put up these barricades where no one could get through, and as soon as they saw a crowd of people, they ushered a few individuals through the gates and then closed it to the protesters. So we were asking them, while we were there, the people at the front, we were asking them, why is this even necessary? We're students, this is a student building, we have just as much right to be in the building as anyone else who's not participating in the protest. And they would not answer our questions. They kind of just stood there holding the barriers. And so eventually people just started rocking the barriers, and they had wheels on the bottom, so someone just rolled it to the side, and then we all went through, and we congregated in the front part of Lerner because they would not let us in through the little turnstile thingies, because the actual inside of Lerner, pretty much all of it was blocked off.
Mic check! Mic check! Mic check!
This officer over here!
This officer over here!
Will not let let those with IDs. As well as tickets to go and see Cernovich. Into Lerner Hall. This is a violation. Of our right to protest. This is a violation. Of our right to free speech. This is a violation. Of our humanity.
That's anyone who had a ticket should have gone to the event. No questions. They believed that it was not possible to get people in at a certain point. And I didn't make that decision. They were not allowing students who wanted to come ask questions and challenge them, the ability to have that opportunity. And that was very saddening. I don't think they should have had a right.
If they wouldn't have done this, every time they do it, if they would not have done this, I'd have given a speech to a group of Republicans, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 200. And that's it. But instead now, hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch this speech. It's going to be spread everywhere. It's going to go all over the globe. So your attempts to suppress and silence people, it just doesn't work. It does not work. It has the opposite effect.
If you're addressing this question from the point of view of freedom of speech, then you're missing the point, I think. Many of the professors who signed the letter had expressed the opinion previously that the best strategy would be to pay as little attention as possible to these provocateurs, these speakers who were invited in order to provoke reaction, because that would be denying the symbolic victory of reaction.
You can let me talk to 50 people that I like, or you can throw a fit and riot, and I'll talk to millions. And then I can talk to millions. You're my intern. You are my marketing intern. Thanks to you, I will get millions of people watching my message, so thank you very much.
You see all these problems with their arguments, then why should everyone follow them? Show that they're wrong. Continue to prove that they're wrong. Like John Stuart Mill says, you have to continue the debate of bad ideas no matter what, because you have to continue to show people that they're bad. But without having that, people won't know. And I think shedding light on someone's fallacies is incredibly insightful, and it really shows that these people actually don't have coherent arguments.
The people who are making these invitations are looking for confrontation and to stage events that can then be turned into images and memes and so on. Wanted to avoid Columbia being used as a backdrop for that sort of staging.
I think the polarization, the politicalization of society has really forced us and given us, and these protests are actually giving us a voice.
We are constantly silenced, and constantly perpetuated, as the violent one, but in fact, the violence is taking place inside that forum.
Is home to like so many different groups. Like to even think of bringing in someone who has ever insulted a group or said that everyone in this group should be subjected to this, like that shouldn't be allowed on campus, because that's ultimately going to affect someone who is on this campus.
Who determines what hurts you? It can be used against people in order to not only silence people, but challenge them and make sure that they don't have a voice on campus. With the recent call for BSO to defund us and de-recognize our club, that was a direct threat on our club, but the future of other clubs. If you allow this precedent to occur, you really allow people to use these types of institutions in order to silence others.
Fascism holding an American flag.
Don't talk to me.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
He's not
You already got your ass. Real tough about his fucking pops protecting you. Stop.
You guys good?
Free speech. No, nobody there. Free speech.
And then like constitutional right of free speech, that's for government censorship. None of us, we're all private citizens. This is a private university. But that technically has nothing to do with us.
I think it's important to realize that we're in a very interesting moment in politics where things are changing, people are changing, ideas are getting polarized and hopefully debated.